by PlayerUnknown's Battleground Mobile. PUBG Mobile is an on-the-go battle royale at its greatest, with eye-popping graphics, super smooth gameplay, and a variety of exciting play modes. Download the official mobile version of PUBG for free. Go to your Android or iOS app store and type PUBG Mobile. And collect a special reward using the promo code HOLZBZX9C. Code also listed in the episode description. Play now! Welcome and good morning and happy Halloween to all you creepy techies out there. It's time for the 359 podcast. My name is BVG, and today we got Alfred Ng, Joni Salzman, and Shara Tipkin. What's up, everybody?
Hey! We got a packed house. We also have the ghost of Ben Rubin and Roger Chang on the show. You can't see them unless you're using our special Ghost Vision filter. So, but we are talking Apple today. As you know, Big Apple was in the Big Apple. Great joke.
Waiting for the puns.
And Shara was there. You got a hands-on on the everything that they announced?
On the everything.
All of it.
On all the things. So that includes, the iPad Pro, the MacBook Air, the Mac Mini, no iPad Mini. Sadly, also Lana Del Rey was there. Couldn't name it.
She couldn't curse, so she basically didn't sing.
No, but it was also she was great, but it was kind of a weird vibe because it was kind of like an energetic event, and then it was like, let's bring it down.
Right.
Hey, check out, we've got all this great news. Here comes some sad songs. So, I don't know if we want to get started or not, but we can stay here just chatting all day otherwise. I don't know if we want to get started, though.
Let's kick it off.
Let's go ahead and knock this out. We're going to come back and see you folks in the chat in 3 minutes and 59 seconds, so get your questions ready. Here we go in 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Alfred Ng.
I'm Joni Salzman.
I'm Shara Tipkin.
We're a little more than 24 hours fresh from Apple's event in beautiful Brooklyn, New York, where Tim Cook announced a new iPad Pro, an update to the MacBook Air, and a new Mac Mini. So let's start with the iPad Pro. There's some pretty big changes there. Shara, you were at the Apple event yesterday in beautiful Brooklyn. What were some updates that we should know about with it?
Sorry. So the biggest changes that we saw on the iPads this time was they're getting a lot of the iPhone 10 technology. So the screen is stretching across the entire front of the device. There's no home button anymore. You use Face ID. The Apple Pencil was redesigned, and now instead of charging it, sticking it down through the bottom of the iPad charging port, it wirelessly charges. It's like magnetically.
On top.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, oh great, now I know where to put this thing.
The way it should have been from the beginning.
I saw that it's USB-C now too, so what, if you want to listen to music,
you're
done
can
with
carry four. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, like the headphone fragmentation. Like the new MacBook Air still has a headphone jack.
Mm-hmm.
The new iPads don't have a headphone jack, and so it's USB-C headphones. But Apple doesn't make USB-C headphones. And then your iPhone is still Lightning. And then there's AirPods. So basically, you're carrying a lot of stuff with you all the time.
It's a dongle world out there.
It is.
Next up, the MacBook Air now gets an update with Touch ID, and it's also $200 more. The only thing I was really geeked out about was the T2 security chip, which it has Touch ID now, and it's encrypted on that security chip, and it also disables your microphone now when the lid is closed. But I'm also a security nerd about stuff.
Yes,
so
that was definitely not the most exciting thing about this computer. They finally did what everybody's been wanting for literally years, which is a Retina display in this thing. I think we've been, as long as I've covered them, I've been writing please, people want this. So they finally did it. They have different colors too. I think there's a rose gold version. It's thin, it's light, it's, there aren't as many ports, so you're not gonna be able to use an SD card. There isn't regular USB. It's USB-C. There is the headphone jack, but and they also have a new redesigned keyboard, so we'll see how that works, because the previous ones, there's been a lot of problems with them. There's been lawsuits. They're replacing all of them basically for free if you've had issues, because if one key, with their butterfly mechanism, if one key gets sticky, you have to replace the whole thing. So I don't know if this will solve that, but it'll be interesting to see when like Dan and people play with these.
I'm disappointed they didn't bring out the manila envelope again, just to like,
know,
hey,
right?
look how thin this is.
This is a smaller manila envelope.
I'm also like, I don't really know like if they can even get thinner than that. I mean, I don't know what are they gonna insert it like in
I don't know.
between
I mean, I
like
just
paper?
yeah. I mean, but then like, how do you charge it? It would have to be like a wirelessly charging
Charge it on your
computer, which would
iPad
take
Pro.
3 days to charge. Yeah, yeah. So I think at this point it's probably as thin as it can be. But I think people were really, really wanting this. Kind of the downside is it's more expensive than the old MacBook Air. So instead of $999, which is kind of like the sweet point for like students and businesses too, obviously we have them. I think that $999 was really great. So $200 more than that. It's not insane, but it's more.
It's more.
It's more.
More is more with Apple.
And then, the smallest news of the day, the Mac Mini getting announced. That tiny computer's first update in 4 years now starts at $799, $300 more than its previous model. And we were talking earlier, and you said this was pretty much expected from Apple. It hasn't been updated in a while, and this was supposed to be coming.
Yeah, I think people were hoping for this. It's it's a popular computer. It's kind of the cheapest computer you can get from Apple, and it is like the last computer where you have all the ports now. There's an Ethernet port. There's the old USB, which right now I don't remember what it's actually called, but whatever, the regular
USB-A.
the normal USB
that everybody uses.
Yeah. So I think this will end up being pretty popular.
All right, that's all the time we have for today's show. If you liked what you heard, check us out on CNET. I'm Alfred Ng.
I'm Joni Salzman.
I'm Shara Tipkin.
Thanks for listening.
Never thank them. We feel bad. I always forget to say that. This is more just like, you listened, whatever.
Thank you, Joan, for being formal and cordial. None like somebody on the show.
Welcome.
I never minded my P's and Q's, so...
Apparently. All right, so as always, it's time to jump into the chat and pull out some questions and comments from folks who are interested in what Apple unveiled yesterday at the big keynote. I would just want to say, I got kind of a kick out of their station for the Mac Mini, how it was kind of like a music producer's booth. I was just like, oh, that's relevant to my interests. But that's about my biggest takeaway from it. Let's go ahead and take a question right up the front from Benjamin. He's asking, can the iPad Pro run laptop apps?
No. The difference, Apple has said, and they are still doing this, that the iPad and the Mac are not the same software. They're still separate software. The big difference with this iPad is a lot of those apps that you would get on your Mac, you're going to be able to get on the iPad, like Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah, they had a whole thing for that, right?
Yeah, but it's not what you just have on your computer. It's for the iPad.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can just take any Mac app and use it on the iPad. But they're doing a lot more with making sure that some of these more like powerful apps work on their tablets.
I completely forgot about that when they were talking up all the games that you can play on the iPad Pro now, saying like this has better graphics than like the Xbox One, which I don't doubt, but I'm also curious like what that does for its battery life and just essentially like who's making all these games. I mean, they showed off like NBA 2K, but like I don't think you're gonna see something like
What's the other one they had? They had
Assassin's Creed, but it was not like the normal
Not the real
Assassin's Creed. It
one,
was like these like little cute versions of them
Yeah,
instead.
it was like little big-headed, adorable anime
Look at these
ones.
adorable,
Look at these adorable
assassins.
Look at the atmospheric fog.
Go plan a murder.
But like they also mentioned like AutoCAD for architects, which is a really it's a really intense kind of computing program that you can do on iPad Pro. But it's not what you would use if you're sitting at a computer.
Then there was that DJ thing, which I'm just like, I don't really see any
algorithm, which you can like have like auto tuning and beat matching for 7 different songs at once or 17 different songs at once or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you think that people that use those programs on a Mac would want to do them on an iPad?
I could see like something like anything where you'd want a pencil or like a stylus to be able to do that. I could see you wanting to do that. One of the things that was kind of cool that they showed with, I think it was Photoshop, was if you could zoom clear into the pixel level to change things, but then if you like double clicked the Apple Pencil, it would jump back out to the full view, and that's nice instead of having to like zoom in and out constantly. I think that I'm assuming Adobe has put a lot of thought and time into what really works on a tablet and what works with a stylus versus what works on a computer. And I think for a lot of people, like using a pencil is kind of a natural thing.
Yeah, for visual media, for sure.
Yeah.
I've never used any stylus on any device. What has your experience been using pens and pencils?
Well, on my Nintendo DS, play a lot of Brain Age. You can't really just type in those numbers when you're doing the math challenges. So the stylus is very important. Would I pay $130 for it, which is how much the Apple Pencil costs?
Yeah.
No.
Really expensive pencil.
Because you can just get a Nintendo DS for that much. There you go.
Before I move on with relevant content, there are some people in the chat who want to know what Alfred's costume is.
Oh,
That's not his costume. That's just how he
I
looks.
actually do just dress like this every day. If you notice the pill on the back, I am Canada from
Canada!
Yeah, thank you, Brian. From the movie Akira. So that's what it is.
The only one in the spirit today. Usually I dress up too, but
I did not bring it to the studio. I'm sorry.
I just don't have the energy
My costume
anymore.
is a crown. I have a tiara so that I can go to Chipotle and get a $4 look.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a
Dan's
thing?
printing me some cat ears on the 3D printer. So
Wait.
we'll see.
What?
Well, in 6 hours, we can go
Chipotle for a while has been doing like if you on Halloween some sort of promotion. It used to be you get a free burrito.
I
Now
know.
too many people have taken advantage of that, so
Yeah.
now it's just like $3 instead.
It's
Oh.
$4 this
Oh,
year. I think
too many people took advantage of the $3 one.
I might have to look into this later. But before then, let's take some more questions from Mike Shaw. My only question about the iPad Pro that I love is there a good solution for editing video on the new iPad Pro? It would seem logical for them to put Final Cut on there, right? Now, we were talking about there's some semblance of Adobe available on iOS, but it's restrictive, right?
I honestly don't know the answer to this question.
They-
I don't
They only
know.
showed off Photoshop on
Yeah.
it. There's no like video editing. For me, I would make the assumption that it's because video editing takes up a lot of memory and in
Yeah.
your processor, and you don't really have that on your iPad. And that would be my assumption, though. I can't say that's why Adobe hasn't really done something in those terms. But
Yeah,
there's
I
always
mean,
iMovie, so
Yeah, I mean, there's iMovie. There's like the Clips app.
Yeah.
For making stuff. I mean, it doesn't mean we won't see something. I think Photoshop was obviously what they showed right away, and that was probably the focus. But it's it's not to say that this won't come later. But I honestly don't know what there is right now.
Let's just say it's not powerful enough software-wise for me to do the robust amount of editing on this show.
Just on the note about the Photoshop on the iPad too, I feel like professionals are very used to like hotkeys for Photoshop where I know I've memorized all the stuff to zoom in and zoom out that to do that. I feel like it'd be more frustrating getting used to it with the Apple Pencil and things like that.
But also with the USB-C, you can connect peripherals. So, you could probably connect a keyboard.
And there is the keyboard that you can connect to.
Yeah, obviously that keyboard, yes.
Flip keyboard.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. From Ricky B, do they include a Type-C to headphone jack dongle?
Oh, God.
We're going to get this question till the end of time, until they make up USB.
I don't know if it's included in it.
I don't know if it's included either. I think it's on sale for $9 or whatever, $9 or $11. I can't remember exactly.
I do know that Google stopped including theirs with the Pixel 3.
Yeah, Apple doesn't include the dongle with the new iPhones either. Yeah. I mean, this is a new one, obviously, so maybe they do, but I'm not sure. We may not know that until they actually go
What
on
are the
sale.
DJs going to do now if they can't listen to
They got to get Bluetooth.
How are
The
they gonna
future's
use
wireless,
algorithms
is what
without their
Apple says.
dongles?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of entertaining as I'm watching in the chat how many people are actually reveling over the design of the new iPad. They say
Yeah,
it
I
reminds
mean,
them of the iPhone 4
Similar to, yeah.
in the flat edge sides.
Oh, yeah, totally. That was what I thought when I picked it up, too. It felt like, it looked like the front of an iPhone 10, but, the sides, kind of the shape of, like an iPhone 5 or the SE or whatever. They kind of, it was funny how they'd kind of gone from this, kind of, not rounder, but, just kind of, sleeker side iPad to this one that's now kind of like definitely like rectangular with the sides. Yeah.
How come this iPad Pro doesn't have a notch? Where's the notch?
Hashtag where's the notch?
Because
Let's
I
get
think
it started.
they have enough space at the
Yeah.
top for that. They don't need it. The notch wasn't like a hey, we really like the way the notch looks. It
Yeah.
looks, hey, we need to have a camera in here, and we need some place to put that.
Were you
But,
able
you
to,
know, it's I don't know.
were you able to try out the Face ID on it at all?
I
or?
wasn't,
Yeah, because you have to set
no.
it up and everything.
Yeah,
right?
you have to set it up. They don't really like. I don't know if anyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't set that up, so I didn't try that.
Did you have
but-
any other impressions when you finally got to the demo? What were some of the things that really struck you when you got to touch and feel some of these?
Yeah. I mean, I was really excited to try the MacBook Air. Like, I've been, that's the computer I've been using for a very long time, and I've needed to upgrade for a long time as well. So I've been waiting for this, and, it was interesting. It was interesting that they don't have touch bar on it,
Right.
which, a lot of people do not love.
Scoffed at. To
Yeah.
Put it
And it,
gently.
and that would have raised the price of it as well.
Yeah.
But they were able to get Touch ID, which is kind of like the best thing of the
Yeah.
touch bar
Yeah.
without. But it also is funny to me. They're just like, it's so. Why isn't there Face ID in the Mac? If they're putting that now in all of their other products, but then this one still has Touch ID, and then you can get this one headphone here, but not here, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just there's just so much.
It feels disconnected.
It feels disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From each other. Like they're
Yeah.
not all part of the same family.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an unhappy family, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't like dongles. I love my dongles.
It's gonna be a
Something
weird
like that.
universe that we live in, where the MacBook Air is gonna be the last Apple product that has Touch ID. Because
Yeah.
like they're phasing it out on all their phones,
Yeah.
and like obviously the new iPad doesn't have it.
Yeah, but there could be a future. I mean, and I don't know if they'll go to this, but we're seeing like a lot of the Android guys going to the fingerprint readers that are under the screen. So OnePlus had an event earlier this week, and they had a new phone that has it, and it uses like an optical sensor, so it like has a light. But then next year there's new technology coming where it's more like ultrasonic, so it uses sound waves. So there could be something like that Apple's working on to bring back something like the Touch ID, but they could also just be going all in on Face ID. And the next MacBook Pro update could have that. Like let's save something a little more premium for that. I don't know.
I like the Touch ID on the MacBook Air,
Yeah.
though. I think it's basically a built-in security key. You don't have to buy
totally.
the little like
Yeah.
USB thing to stick in
Yeah.
anymore, and you can use that to log in instead. Or
Yeah,
like
I would
for-
love that. I forget my password.
Yeah.
You just it would be great.
Before we move on, valuable information coming in from Mark Dibble. Alfred, you can download an app that will give it a notch.
Love
Great.
it.
Why
Love
am I
it.
not surprised?
That is exactly what I wanted.
I think you should go as a notch for Halloween.
yes,
Just have like a black.
So
And
just-
then one here for the pixels. And the pixel, like get the like random side notch.
watch that app cost like $50. It's from Apple.
One thing I wanted to kind of talk about is those bezels. So, for me, I'm still kind of getting used to having a relatively edge-to-edge screen on a phone.
Yeah.
I don't like having a safe place to hold it, and
I was sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
No,
was
no.
having this exact same conversation with someone last week where I feel like bezels almost have a place on an iPad because you want somewhere to hold on to it without getting fingerprints over your entire screen.
or accidentally triggering something.
Yeah, or accidentally triggering something. But that's not the way we're going.
Bezels are
anymore.
passe, pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you could put like a null area that it would not be touch sensitive. I don't know, just tap the screen with a hammer and nail, I guess, and just kill the.
Do that for
kill
all
the-
my phones.
Yeah, right.
That's actually our new screen durability test that we do here. So
Anesthetizing part of your screen.
All right, we got a few more questions to knock out before we call it a day from Christopher Osborne. Why do you think that Apple made the USB-C change on the iPad before the iPhone? I know the little MacBook uses it, but I really feel like the iPhone would make best use of the USB-C jump.
Well, I think with iPad, they're keeping it separate from computers, but they also want people to use this as a computer. And USB-C lets you do a lot of things. Like you can add a lot of accessories and a lot of peripherals, and
It's faster.
it's faster, and you can do a lot of things with it. I think that they'll probably move to USB-C. Or I mean, I don't know. Maybe they never will. But I would think if they would do it, it would probably be with the next iPhone, because you have to remember this was an S year.
Yeah.
And they already came out with a bigger phone size and then the cheaper phone, and I feel like they could be saving that for later. The next generation. But
wait, we're talking Star Trek now?
Yes.
Now you have my attention.
Which
All
you
right.
can watch on CBS All Access,
Shut
by
up.
the way.
We are plugging away today.
Shut it
Plugging
down.
away.
All right. Here's a question from A Chain. That's a name. Can anyone tell me if you can increase the RAM memory after purchase in the new Mac Mini? I can actually answer this one. No! Not without voiding the warranty. Now, you can go, of course, and take it to the Genius Bar and have them do it for you, but there is no friendly way to do it that won't possibly land you in quote-unquote trouble. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are more than capable of doing that themselves, but there's no nice way, per se, to do it.
Not a feature.
Nope. Never will be. Never has been. Here's a good one. What's the deal with this Mac Mini stack? Isn't there a cheaper way to build a cluster now? It took me a minute to process what he's talking about, but this is coming from our friend Matthew Dadge. He's talking about this mess right here. I thought, honestly, at first glance, that this was a design for the new Mac Pro.
No, but they showed, servers farms that are using these. So yeah, I mean, maybe, you're not going to Apple because it's the cheapest. It's the cheapest
Obviously.
provider. Yeah, there's a lot of other options that are cheaper out there. So it's why ever.
Love the
whatever.
fat stack of Mac Minis.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. The video they showed before they launched it, it made it look like it was going to be round. It was kind of like a spaceship thing. And then it was like, oh, no, it's actually still. I was like, they got me on that one. I thought maybe it was going to be redesigned. But they really kept it this same sort of design because they do know people put these in. They need this sort of configuration.
All right, we are just about out of time, but I want to stage an appropriate joke riddle on our way out the door for Halloween. What do you call an iPhone that isn't kidding around?
Don't know, Brian.
Dead serious. Thanks, everybody. It's been a fun Halloween. Hopefully you get lots of candy tonight, but we're going to call it a day. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of the 359. But until then, Alfred, you want to take us on out of here?
I absolutely do after that joke. So, if you like what you heard here today, the 359 podcast is available on TuneIn, Stitcher, not SoundCloud, Google Play, Feedburner, Google Play, Google Podcasts, the Amazon Echo, and of course CNET.com. Am I missing anything?
I think you got it.
All right. Thanks for listening. I say that this time around, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye, folks.